On today's show, we have an interesting conversation about buying domains in a partnership, and also Drew makes it very interesting. He lets the Sherpas decide what he's going to do with a particular offer he's just received to double his money. Enjoy the show. Hey, Sherpa Network, Happy New Year. We're back. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Tess Diaz, executive producer of DomainSherpa.com, and this is the Domain Sherpa Review. This is a show where we get into the minds of successful domain name investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become better investors ourselves. We're doing our usual 3 segments to this review. We'll start off learning what the Sherpas recently bought and sold. Next, we'll discuss in value an investor-submitted domain name portfolio. And finally, we'll preview some domains going to auction soon at NameJet.com and whether the Sherpas think they're a good investment opportunity for you. Joining us today on the Domain Sherpa Review are 3 past Sherpas and industry thought leaders. We have Shane Coltra, publisher of the blog dsad.com and owner of the Country Arbors Nursery in Illinois. Hi, Shane.
Hi, thanks for having me again.
Welcome back. Thanks for being here. We have Drew Rosner, CEO of domain brokerage firm MediaOptions.com. Hi, Drew.
Hello.
And I'm so excited to have you back, Mike Carson of Park.io. Mike, I was recently listening to a podcast you did a while back, and I feel like unless our viewers have watched one of the one-on-one shows that we've done with you, I hope they know how amazing you are. Give us a minute more than usual about Park.io.
Sorry, what did you ask? You want to know?
I want just a 1 minute. I mean, Park.io, you tried a bunch of businesses, you figured out this is where it was at, and you're running this amazing automated one-man business with some pretty huge revenue.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody who's gone into domains and had some success, they're like, man, I really lucked out here because, I mean, it's like you just stumble into this, like, this thing and you're suddenly, there's a lot of money. Like you can buy a domain for $50 and sell it for like $60,000 or something. And it's like, it's not a fluke, it's like something that you can do over and over. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. And
if you acquire the proper skill set.
Yeah.
And don't forget to credit me for being your guide, because you guys don't know the story. Mike and I have known each other for 11, 12 years, way before domains.
Yeah. We had trading blogs and
you were doing day trading, right?
Yeah, we were doing day trading.
We tried to write Mike did write some scripts, like some automated scripts together that would trade, and we'd put a little money in it, go away and come back and see what it did, and we go, well, it sold everything within 3 seconds. It was fantastic. Yeah, we had 2 little blogs, and Mike was an amazing coder back then, and I was me being stupid and crazy and fun, and it was a good combination even back then.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
But what's crazy is like so I got into domains. Like I hadn't talked to Shane for a while, and I got into domains, and then I was watching Domain Sherpa, and I was like, "Is that Shane?"
I know that guy.
Yeah,
I'm back.
Yeah. And then I got back in touch with him.
Yeah, I went from Wall Street Fighter to Domain Shane like over 3 or 4 years. It was a crazy transition.
Yeah, and don't undersell it. I think that you both have really found some similarities between the 2 markets. You've applied your skills, and the coolest thing is that your passions as well. That you've said, hey, this is the area that I'm interested in. Mike, you love automation. Shane, you love figuring out and tinkering. And you've really both applied that to some phenomenal financial success, and I think some brilliant entrepreneurial applications. So
thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome back.
Mike's what we call SBD, silent but deadly.
Yeah, I'm going to put that in the title. But Drew Rosner, Media Options, Shane Coulter, DSAD, Mike Carson, SBD. Unless you own SBD.com. Or no, Mike owns .io. Come on.
By the end of the show.
I have introvert.com. Introvert.com. That's nice.
And your picture probably should be on that. You're very
I've always said that was the worst thing is
good way to get our guests back, Tess.
Yeah. But Mike's got the face for podcasting and I have a face for radio, but I'm the one who throws my face everywhere. That's what's screwed up.
I'll have you know, I'm in Philly visiting my old college roommate, and I showed her a picture of each of you three and said, like, this is what I do, this is what I'm doing. And Shane, the picture that came up of you, I will say was a couple years older, but she was like, oh, he's cute. So,
I'm so cute.
So you don't just have
a not attractive.
Alrighty then. Let's jump into the first segment of the show. What's new, Sherpas? Let's share one purchase or sale you've made over the past few weeks. Sometimes end of year can be a really different market. You know, I think it's consistent every year what goes on, but always an interesting time to learn what you've paid or received for a domain recently, if you thought it was a good deal, and how the negotiations progressed. You guys are ready?
Ready.
Yeah.
All right. And we're going to start with you, Shane. What's new?
Well, I didn't, you know, that's the problem is I don't really have, it was end of year for me. So I didn't, I do my taxes in a way that I spent everything, and there could be a whole show on how people do their taxes, but I was kind of neat where I needed to, I would sell whatever I needed to sell, but I needed to spend some money at the end of the year. So I bought something, but I'm not allowed to say because it's a partnership. So I'm actually saying what I hate to tell people. If you can't talk about it, don't talk about it. But in this case, I really can't talk about it.
Why don't you tell us how how did you enter into a partnership? Why did you do that?
So I do this with people I trust, and there are certain people in this industry that I trust, and occasionally there are some domains that maybe I'm more expert in that type of domain, or that person isn't really into it, but they trust my opinion and they say, hey, I'll go in with you on it. Or they'll see a name that they, like I said, they think that I would be good with because it's in my wheelhouse of plants or sports or certain things. And so that comes up. And so I'm partners with 4 people in certain names. And maybe it's to take the risk off. Maybe it's just to do something fun together. And of course, the DSAD guys, we're partners in different names as well.
And, you know, you don't really develop your domains. So what would 2 partners bring to the table on a pure domain investment?
Well, so there's a couple things. Sometimes it can be money. So if it's a 6-figure domain, you kind of split up the risk there.
Was this?
Yeah. So close. Yeah, close.
Okay.
The other thing that's a little tricky, and I will say this again, it could be a show. When you go into a partnership, you have to watch how you set it up as an LLC, or how do it could be a lot of paperwork when it comes to something happening. Do you have to set up a buy-sell agreement? If you already have a corporation on your own, you can't really put that in if it's a partnership unless you come up with the paperwork that says, although this is in the partnership or in the LLC, it's owned by this guy. So if I sell the company, we got to figure out how to get rid of that domain to make sure so it can be a little complicated if you're going in a partnership, and you definitely need to make sure legally that you have your handshake solidified in one way or another. Like Travis and I, go ahead.
Yeah, in most cases, though, if it's going to be held passively and not generate any incremental income, you're better off just assuming it's 2 individuals or 2 people who have small businesses. Just do it as individuals, as sort of.
That's exactly how we did it. We kept it out of
setting up the LLC. We've got, I can't really talk about the details, but one of our biggest sales, a domain that we owned, we sold and retained 10%. And so whatever they would do with it, whether they built a business or they resold it, we would get 10% in perpetuity. And so it got very complicated. It was like, in theory, it was like, oh yeah, that's cool, like great. But now like soon we expect this thing to start making money and it will make sense. But right now, since about a year and a half, 2 years, we're paying something like, I don't know, $5,000 or $6,000 of fees, split between the two parties per year in accounting and LLC expenses and lawyer, blah, blah, blah. All this crap that is costing us $5,000 or $6,000 a year for absolutely no reason, just to hold the name in an LLC where he owns 90%, we own 10%, and it makes things very complicated, totally unnecessarily. And it's another K-1 that has to be filed, and it's just a pain in the butt.
Yeah, so it is.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, and it could be, if something happens to you, who gets the other half, and that all has to be set up. So honestly, just exactly like you said, we've actually made it just more simple and said, we've typed out a little, even the email, hey, here's the email, said you own half. If your wife sees it, go to the email. It says that you have half the domain. And
until there's an email that's, later dated that says you don't own half anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, until they Zuckerberg you.
Fair enough. So tell me, oh, I missed that for a second. I like it. Zuckerberg.
He's the one who added shares. Like he said, oh, you own 10%? All right. Well, now there's 1,000 shares. You own 1%.
Yeah.
So whom?
Pardon me?
Who approached whom for this partnership?
This was a name up for sale, and I approached them about, hey, this is over my head financially, but it's a name that I'd really like. But it's a good name. And they said, sure. And then we were going to do all this paperwork. Honestly, the paperwork, it was like 3 and 4 months of trying to figure it out. And then finally at the end, we said, screw this. Yes, just send me the money, get it official. Let's get it on the books. And just because I had to spend the money. I needed to spend the money saying I had spent money on domains because I had sold some domains. So I needed to get it done, screw the paperwork. And we realized after talking to our lawyers, like, just do it. Yeah. Just pay the guy his money. It's fine. Did you trust him? Yeah. Could it go wrong? Yes. But this is probably the best way to do it. And Travis and I have the same thing. Travis and I are on some 3letter.com, oneword.coms, and we talk every day. Yeah, somebody could really work to screw each other over, but no matter how you set it up, someone can work hard and screw you over.
Sure. Yeah, that's cool. And so
I've always wondered why no registrar has come out with a multi-party
ownership.
Yeah.
Legal fees.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to deal with it when you die and you get divorced and you just so many.
Well, but this actually avoids them having to deal with it. Like, let's say you and I own a name together 50-50, you drop dead, and I'm like, the domain was in your account, and I'm like, well, hey, Uniregistry, that domain that was in Tessa's account, actually we own half. Oh, here's an email I've got. They're going to be like, yeah.
Oh, in this scenario, I thought Shane was dropping dead. I'm the one dropping dead?
Well, come back. Shane's old. I don't want to make him feel like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He doesn't want to say a real situation.
Yeah. I'm trying to make it hypothetical.
Sean, you're going to get Nancy Kerrigan at the next domain show.
Yeah, they're going to just say, come back with a court order, which means that we have to go through the whole estate process.
Yeah. Now, Mike, you haven't said much. What are your thoughts on partnership?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like that's part of the reason why I run Park.io by myself. It's like I don't want to deal with all of that. It's like, why deal with all? Like, why would you torture yourself with all that stuff? Yeah. I don't see, like, to me, it's not worth it. I don't see a reason to do it. I'd just rather not deal with it. And also, it's like, it's not even just that. It's not just the paperwork and all the like logistics and stuff. It's also making decisions. You gotta, like, what if you really want to sell it for this price, another person doesn't, and then you have to deal with that. And so, I mean, it's like, yeah, when more people get involved, it gets more difficult, and I can't really see a big reason to do that. I don't see why it would be worth doing that personally.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, everybody's got a different approach. So Shane, did I catch you at the beginning? Did you say? Did I catch the comment correctly that you spent 3 or 4 months discussing this potential?
Oh yeah, maybe even longer than that, trying to figure out the paperwork side of it, because Mike is right. The people that I had, the person I went in with, not a big fan of partnerships. They always seem to go wrong. Friendships get in trouble. But I mean, and again, I can't say that things will be different, but I have never had a partnership go bad ever. But I also choose my partners very, 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 very well. I mean,
so it sounds to me like the negotiation with the partnership took longer than the negotiation acquiring the domain.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Give us a quick, anything interesting or that our Sherpa network can learn about the acquisition process itself? Did you guys decide which one of you would be better at doing the acquisition or negotiating that?
My partner there's some actually history. The name, it took a couple years to get. When we first approached it, it was several years ago, and they told us to go fuck ourselves. So we left it on the table. When it came back, we got it much, much, much cheaper than the first time we went around because time had changed a little bit. So
huge mistake we see domain owners regularly make.
I mean, it works both ways. Time can make some of those names more valuable. It's funny because even in the last year, these good names have gotten even more valuable in a year. But yeah, it takes, and we're all busy. So it wasn't the top of our priority. Like, hey, we need to get this done. The funny part is if the name would have sold during the year, I hadn't even paid him yet. Would he have given me? And I think he would have. That's how much I trust him. I think regardless, I know if Drew is the same thing. Hey, if we had a partnership, we still haven't gotten the money, the name sells, he would just subtract what I owe him from it, and there'd be no question asked. That's how a good partner. You can call it a friend. I don't care what you call it. It's just trust. There's just trust, and without getting too philosophical, everything in life is built on trust. And once it's broken, you fucked. You're done. You're screwed. It's over. Once somebody screws you once, there's no rebuilding it in this industry because you'll always question where they're going to do that again. So if someone in this industry screws you over, they are toast. And so that's why you have to be, pick your partners carefully. And
it says something that you've, been in the industry so long, that speaks to its own credibility or, reputation is very important.
And just because I don't have reason to not trust some people, but when I have a feeling that I wouldn't do business with them, I just don't. It doesn't mean I don't like them. I don't think they're a great person. It's just I'm not going to put my money in that hand. Why do that? And so I know why Mike is. And I know there's a lot more people like Mike than like me. Just why? If you don't need it. But I enjoy a partnership. I enjoy talking over names. It's something I like. It's what I like, part of the business.
Yeah, and it's neat that there are different strategies and they're all good. So was it a .com?
Oh, it's always a .com. Yeah.
Let's see your smile, Mike.
Is there anything that's close to six figures that's not .com?
Was it one word, two words, exact match?
It's always one word. Yeah, I'm pretty much all one word now, maybe some two words.
Okay, exact match or brandable?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm done my inquisition. Well, thanks for sharing what you could. And I think you brought up a really interesting topic on partnership. Drew, what'd you buy or sell lately?
Well, just got, got one yesterday. Extracts.com, plural, extracts.com.
All right. And you acquired it.
We acquired it.
Okay. Mike, you want to guess what he paid?
Extracts.com. Yeah, I mean, I don't know .com that well, but that one's a good one. And
you do know it. What you do is you take away the IO, put a .com, and add 20 times the value.
But see, it's different. Like .io is like more tech-related things, and I mean, it is actually very different. But I mean, in terms of branding and stuff, it's not that different. But
it's really not that different. The names, the best names in .io are also the .coms that sell for the highest price. I mean, so your target audience with .io is always tech, and the people who spend the most money for the most part in .com are tech, venture-backed tech. And so the audience is really the same. I think you just meet them at different stages. you know, .io, it's generally earlier stage. .com is after they've raised like an A round or a B round. And
but wouldn't you say it like this? The good.com doesn't always make a good.io, but what's a good.io almost always makes a good.com.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Anyway, go ahead and guess. Sorry.
Yeah, extracts, I don't know, 15,000.
All right. Shane, what do you think?
I think it's definitely a cannabis market as far as spinning and juicing and all that fine stuff. The machines that Drew and I own that we extract everything in the back room with. But the S does take it to a different level. It takes it more into a category. So I'll say, I think Mike's probably right. I'll say 12 grand.
Okay.
Drew gave him a $2,000.
Where are you guys finding $12,000 and $15,000 one-word.coms like that? Because I will buy them all day. Whatever you find, just send it my way, and I will buy it.
They just give you a lot of credit as a negotiator, Drew.
With a blindfold on.
Well, the plural makes it not like extract. Of course, could be anything in tech. The extracts, but extracts.
So we already own extract.com. So the singular, we already own it. So
okay.
So in a way, does that make you more motivated to corner the market and own them both? Does that make you more willing to pay more for the S at the end?
Well, I'm going to say 12.5 now since I heard Drew.
Here's the deal. We're going to make this super interesting. Okay? So, first off, I didn't pursue, maybe 2 years ago, I tried to buy extracts.com, the plural, at the same time after we bought extract.com. The seller came back to us yesterday morning, emailed me and said, hey, I've got an offer from another buyer. We're at a range that I'm comfortable selling. You had inquired, here's the price, non-negotiable. If you want it, buy it now. And he had lowered the price from, I forget what it was originally, $75,000 or $80,000. He lowered it to $38,000. So, or $37,500 or so. After escrow fees, it was $38 and change. So I said, fine, let's do it. And I did that because we've gotten very big offers on extract.com, primarily from the cannabis industry. And extracts is, in this particular case, I really like that combination together because extract is the process to extract, and then extracts is the various products that you get as a result.
So
and the fastest growing category in the entire cannabis market, which is the fastest growing market on the planet, is extracts. So extracts is things that you vaporize, things that you eat, things that you create additives, things that, specific cannabinoids which are being extracted and added to create pharmaceutical drugs. It's the whole category. So it's everything from when you take the original cannabis flower, you put it through, there's a billion different processes you can do, and you extract the various compounds, cannabinoids, terpenes, and other compounds. And that is the number one fastest growing segment and the largest, it's already the largest piece of the pie in the cannabis market for retail. And so whether medicinal or recreational. And they've just legalized it in extracts and oils and whatnot. They've just legalized in Canada. So this is a monster market, absolutely massive, tens of billions of dollar market. And so, for me, that was a no-brainer at 38 grand.
If somebody came to you and they said, I'd like to buy extract.com, would you say, here, I'll sell you extracts and extract.com? Would you try to package it?
This is where I said we're going to make this interesting. We are going to affect somebody's fate right here live on this show. So within minutes, literally within minutes of buying this domain, presumably the guy who was already trying to negotiate to purchase the domain, but over-negotiated, contacted me to buy the domain. And he said, hey, you just got this domain in your account, minutes ago. I'll give you $50,000 for the domain. And I said no. So then he went to $60,000. But the catch is he wants a payment plan. So he'll pay a deposit, and then he'll pay monthly payments for 12 to 24 months. And so he went to 60 grand. I said no. Again, that's with a payment plan, not all cash up front. So then he came back and he said, best and final offer last night. He said, best and final offer, $75,000 over 24 months. So,
Mike, I'm realizing this story is not going to affect us at all.
What do you think? Should I immediately turn around and flip this thing for basically double the price, or maintain it as a pair with extract.com and, hold out for what I think is, I think it's worth six figures. But it's also hard to argue with double your money in 24 hours. So,
I mean, how many pairs do you sell? Like, do you sell pairs? Like, does that actually work? It seems like
I've only done it a couple times, and generally speaking, it's not that I think this will sell as a pair, but it gives me a tremendous amount of leverage because I control the pair. That, like, we own the category defining verb and noun for the one of the fastest growing markets on the planet. So that gives you a lot of price power. And because nobody has an alternative, like they can't go, if I'm trying to price extract.com, which I think is the more valuable name,
extracts.io
at $450,000, and then they come and they, extracts plural is at $38,000. I'm going to go buy that one. I have no power. But now they don't have an alternative unless they want .io, and then we'll just take their traffic and they'll increase the value of our name, and then we'll sell it to them for a much higher price later when they're a real company. So
I think it's interesting to note that, or it's interesting as we, make this decision with you, it sounds like, how different it would be if it were the other way around. If you had the offer on the higher value name, but like, you can get, if you're increasing percentage-wise because of this, then you're losing the leverage on the lower one. You're actually losing more money on the higher value one if that would increase percentage-wise because of the lower one. You know what I mean? Whereas if you were doubling your money on the bigger one, then it's not as big a deal if you don't get as much off the smaller one. I don't know how well that was worded.
I have a question. Mike, did you just register extract.io?
No, do I own that one?
No, I just went to go register it, and I hit it, and it said, now this domain is not available. It went from available to not available.
Where'd you go? No, I didn't register.
I went to GoDaddy.
I'm sure it's already registered.
It said extracts is taken, and sorry not to screw up the story, but extract.io was available, and I click it, and it goes, no, it's not available. So maybe it was a bad feed. Anyway, okay, I thought we were literally registering as this story went along.
Are you kidding? Mike has so much automation. He probably has an automation when you say extracts.io. He's got like a computer nearby that heard you and checked for it.
It's a Carson registration system you just spoke of. Yeah. All right, sorry, tell the story. I don't want to ruin it. This is a good one.
No, so that's it. The story's over. The question is now, what do I do? Do we sell extracts.com for double money, but it's a payment plan over 24 months? Or do we kick the can down the road and hope for, six figures?
Well, I feel like that's a question you have to answer, man. I mean, like,
I know, but I like to I like to shake things up and make it interesting. And so
you wouldn't double
putting my balls on the table here and saying, guys, look, my balls are in your hands.
Well, it depends on what you think the value is worth. I mean, doubling your money in a day? Who's not going to do that? Especially when it's $38,000. I mean, $38,000 a day.
It's not all cash up front. It's
Yeah, I think that's the key in this uncertainty. That to me is the number one factor. Plus the fact that the other domain is more valuable and you'd have more leverage. I would not sell it. Plus, if you want to sell it a year from now, he'll still be around. So wait, what kind of feedback you get, because you get a lot of offers on the singular. Wait, see what feedback you get. And if people like the idea of the two together, or people who can't afford the better one can afford the other one, and if it doesn't work out, go back to your payment plan, dude.
Yeah, but these things, those people don't stick around, right? So it's the same with me. If I make you an offer, don't think you're going to come back to me 6 months from now because you shopped it around and nobody else wants it, and think I'm going to make you the same offer or make you any.
Yeah, I mean, you just make the deposit $38,000. Now you've not paid anything.
Now you got zero risk.
And then the rest is juice for the next 12, 24 months of just
very funny.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mike? What would you do?
Extracts.
So, but assuming that he will not pay $38,000 deposit, assuming that it will be,
I would, if he doesn't pay $38,000,
10% deposit, and then monthlies over 24 months.
No.
So you're talking whatever, $3,000 a month.
Hey, Drew, you're a domain seller. You're not a bank.
You sure?
Well, I would love to be a bank.
I'd sell it. I'd sell it. You have extract, man. You have extract. That's much better. I would sell it.
Shane? We got one yay and one nay. Who's going to get it? The yays or the nays? Shane, you are the deciding vote. Is this man going to get extracts.com or is he not? Your decision right now.
If he can,
is going to determine this.
If he can't come up with $38,000, I don't sell it. Yeah, I'm a get my money back. Otherwise, that's a big space, man. That's a big space.
So you're a nay unless
$38,000 or don't sell.
All right. That's it. I'll update you on the next episode.
I like it. That was interesting. Cool.
And Mike, your story is going to be nothing compared to that one.
No pressure. Wait, I thought you said I was driving Mike away. You are driving Mike away now. Cut that out, Shane. I like Mike on this show.
He is. He's fantastic.
Although, Mike, I miss your psychedelic family picture in the background. That's my favorite.
Oh yeah. We hung that. We moved and we hung that above the fireplace here. So
That's cool. Hey, so I looked up extract.io and extracts.io were both registered in 2017 and they're owned by different parties. So
yeah, I can't believe they're registered 2017. That's so late. I'm surprised.
Yeah. Well, they're probably dropped through you that somebody else owned before or something, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I do. Before we get to you, Mike, I just want to poke at that for a second. Back at extracts. So what I see is kind of a giant cluster. You've got some guy who wanted to buy it, who couldn't afford it, and he was willing to pay double, it sounds like, and this seller wasn't able to either figure out a way to get that full double. Like, that's a lot of money he left on the table. And what I did not hear was the word broker. There was no broker for the buyer, for the seller, and I think if there were a professional broker, this is why. If you have a startup, get a broker. They're going to get you the name you want. They're going to not leave so much money on the table. I think people who think they need to save that tiny bit of money that they would send to the broker don't recognize how much they're missing in the negotiation process. And not that we're always like some advertisement for brokerage, but that just seems to me like this whole cluster which guess who it benefited? The broker. The broker who's also an investor and smart enough to buy it. But just people, get yourselves a broker.
The key to this deal, and the only reason we got it as opposed to the other guy, is pay fast. That's it. Pay
and
fast.
if he'd gone to a broker, if he'd gone to Domain Capital, if he'd,
sure, but do what you say you're going to do and pay fast.
Yeah. So how did you get it in less than a day? Did you use escrow.com?
Escrow.com, yeah.
Okay, that's pretty fast. Okay.
Yeah. And Media Options has really built a reputation. We will pay you faster than anyone, and that can make a big difference. Not that people are desperate to spend the money, but that they want to know a deal is closed, especially when you have other buyers that you're turning away. You want to know it's really closed. And dealing with digital assets is unique because you can't touch them. They're not like the check is in the mail. Like, you want to know that you really got it before you turn everybody else away. So, yeah. Mike, what'd you buy or sell lately?
Well, this one's a few months old, but I thought it was relevant because the .com is on the list from NameJet. So, it is. I sold Lucky.io.
Nice. I think I was in that auction.
What's that?
I think I was in the auction when you probably originally got it.
How'd you get the name?
I can't really tell from my email, but I was talking with the guy who owned it before after it had expired, and he was going to get it to me, but I think I might have actually got it after it expired with a Nick.io back order from the actual through the registry. So.
Nice. Hey, you guys, stop fishing for info before you guess. Shane, what do you think he sold it for? You get the info after. Come on.
Well, everybody wonders about the guy that's selling the auctioned name at how he gets his own names. Does he pick off the names from his list? Does he, I think that's not has anything to do with this, but that's always a question of where does Mike get his own names? So
I get my names through, I reach out. I haven't gotten names recently for a while, but before, a lot of the names is going through, like I have a database of all these .io names, and when they expire, I would just reach out to the previous owner for the good ones and be like, hey, this expired. I'll buy this from you, And so that's how I would get a lot of them. But I also look at auctions on like Flippa and things like that. And occasionally, if somebody doesn't order something through Park.io, I'll get a name there.
Yeah. Yeah. So that being said, on Lucky, that's a fantastic name. And .io is whatever. It can be all over the board, but I know you sell for.
Come on, IO sucks. You guys say IO sucks, right?
We listen to Mark Levine. We know it's gold.
You guys
Mark,
so much shit about .io.
I bought 123.io for a lot of money from your site.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and Mark Levine, the show we aired yesterday was fantastic. With Mark went through all his sales in 2018, and he made a ton of money off .io sales last year. So all right, Shane, come on, saddle up.
I'm gonna say it's worth more than Extract, so I'm gonna say 12,500.
Oh, is that like your lucky number of the year?
No, Mike has a great history of selling stuff, and I know from talking to other .io people on the really, really good ones, you're in 5 figures on those names. So I'll just say 12.5 again. It's a good round number.
All right, Mr. Rosner.
8,000.
8,000.
Drinking from the mason jar must have been a good number. Or
yeah.
That was straight whiskey.
You ready for this? No, so I sold it for 10 Bitcoins, which at the time was $67,000.
Oh my God.
Wow. Nice work. Lucky.io. Gaming, tech. That is such a great brand. So much room for expansion.
So you sell it in Bitcoin, it's going to be some kind of Bitcoin gaming, Bitcoin casino?
Yeah, that's what I think. Probably. I don't know.
I love it.
Where it was going to be until Bitcoin went to...
And what'd you do with the coin? You still have the coin, or did you get your 67?
No, now it's down to like 40,000.
Either way, that's more than 12.5.
Yeah.
And that sounds to me like a fair price to an end user and perfect in the Bitcoin space where they do have a lot of money, or did. Do you guys think that their buyer overpaid, or you think that was a reasonable price? Because you guessed a lot lower.
I know that he would have sold it for a lot lower than 10 Bitcoins. I'm sure he would have sold it for 9 Bitcoins.
Yeah, I probably would have sold it for lower, but I got lucky on that one. but
No, he did too.
But you know what? Like, this is so like, it shows that other TLDs make money, right? So that's like, we know that so it's not just .com. So everybody that's focusing on .com, they could be missing out on a lot, and they are. If you know, so there's other things, there's other TLDs out there. But I think another thing with this is, like, you know, people like so 67,000, like, you know, on here, people have said, like, oh, well, you've had to say no to 66,000 to get to 67,000, but that's not really true. I think with this is just you ask, like, if you have a lot of domains, I was thinking about this recently, and I think if you have a lot of domains, you have to kind of treat it like a collection. I think this is how you can be successful with domaining. It's like, if you treat it like a collection and you have these names that, you know, I'm going to buy and sell these. This one's a cool one. I'll buy like, it's like baseball cards or something, you know, like, I'll buy and sell. These are good. But like, I have these up on my mantle up here, like these really good ones, like my Mickey Mantle, you know, rookie card. I'm not going to sell that unless I get a huge offer. And I think, like, so you have some that you're just going to wait for the big numbers, and then you have a bunch of others that you just buy and sell. And I think if you treat it like that, you can, you know, it's like, you know, somebody makes you an offer for one of your really good ones. You're like, man, if I sell that, how am I going to replace that? What am I going to have? You know, it's like, then my collection goes down a notch, you know? So I need a big number for that one. And I think by treating it that way, you kind of, you can get the bigger sales like that.
Totally. I totally agree. I think, you know, we treat our stuff the same way. There's like,
100%.
Maybe, let's say if we have 5,000 names, there's maybe 20, what percentage is that? 2%?
Yeah. The problem is the guy that's got his King Griffey Jr. card up on his mantle. I'm like, fuck, you got King Griffey Jr. on your mantle? You want 50,000 for that? Like, that's one of my best names. So
that's when you go look for something different.
Yeah, knowing what to put on your mantle is kind of the key too.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's cool. Well, good for you. That's a great sale.
Thanks.
And I think great.io. So let's take a moment. I'm going to tell you about our sponsors for today's show who support us in our mission to educate people in the domain name industry.
First, serious about online trading? Secure your funds, keep your merchandise safe, and use a company that keeps the buyer and seller protected the whole way through. That's escrow.com. Payments you can trust.
All right. In the domain portfolio review, we take user-submitted domain name portfolios and provide honest and constructive feedback to the owners so they can cut their losses, continue to hold them long-term, or figure out a sales strategy going forward. I like today's portfolio, and I appreciate we have 6.ios. You may know username TC27 submitted this portfolio. 19 domains, 10.com, 6.io, 1.net, 2.org. So let's take a look, guys, and get some feedback on what you think and what you would do with them. Mike, I wanted you to go first here with all of them, but particularly the .ios. What are your thoughts?
So yeah, I mean, like I mentioned on a previous DomainSherpa episode, I gave this like GitHub appraisal system where you go to github.com and you can search for the term, and you can see how many times it's found in different code repositories and stuff. So I did that with these .io names, and I mean there's some that, like Trading Bot, there's 165 matches for that. So I mean, my appraisal system would say it's like worth $165, but it's just kind of like just gives you an idea. It's not really exact. It's definitely not exact, but it just gives you an idea. Like Trading Bot has 165, Deadbolt 87, Starfruit 16, Submarine 870, Splurge 35, and Pesto 128. So I mean, Submarine has the most at 870, and I think it probably, even though it's a little long, has a lot of syllables. I think it's probably the best one there. Not just because it has the most matches. .io games. There's a lot of .io games now, and I could see like a Submarine IO game coming out. And if it did, you could make a lot of, you could get a lot of traffic to that name, because the people who create these games, they don't even have the domain name sometimes, like tank.io. Like I mentioned this before on DomainSherpa, like I had tank.io, which I just registered a while ago because I thought it sounded good, and then suddenly started getting all this traffic, and like I put it on Parking Crew, and it was making like $1,000 a day, from clicks and stuff like that. Wow. And I was like, what what is going on? And then like it's just this game came out, tank.io game. I mean, it only made like $1,000 for like a couple days, and then it went down and stuff. But there's this game, tank.io, that came out. And I see that happening with other names. Like it's just like out of nowhere, they just start getting tons of traffic. And so I could see something like I would hold submarine.io for, and, ask, I would ask, I don't know, 5,000 or 10,000 or 5,000. And then, but you might get traffic. I would just watch the traffic on that just to see. So yeah, I mean, I guess my favorites would be Submarine, Pesto.io, and I mean, I like Deadbolt, even though it doesn't have that many repositories, just for like, locking, like maybe some crypto thing or something. But yeah, I guess those would be my favorites.
That's interesting to me about Pesto, because I feel like, Deadbolt and Splurge and obviously Submarine, they sound more like techie and exciting and something that could apply in certain techie spaces. But I don't understand why Pesto is the second most active. I don't feel like Pesto and like Geek go together.
I think it's just it's a brand, it's like, so there's maybe some food app or something like that. It's like it's kind of it's a short 2-syllable Pesto. It's easy to remember, recognize. It'd be kind of a cool brand, I guess, Pesto.io. I mean, it's, it's not the best in the world, but I think I could see it, I could see it as
I would put that at the bottom of all, because Deadbolt is 2 syllables, but in my opinion, way cooler. Splurge, only 1 syllable, but you would still put Pesto as number 2.
I mean, personally, yeah, and this is not a science. I mean, this GitHub appraisal thing helps put numbers on it and stuff, but I mean,
you're a .io expert and I'm not.
Well, even if I'm an expert, like it's not perfect, but I think, I don't know, to me, Pesto.io, like if I was building something around food, restaurants, or even just, some app, like collaboration app or something like that, it's kind of it's like a spicy, like it's a spicy brand or something. I mean, Pesto, it's easy to remember, it's easy to type in, people will recognize it, and so to me, it's these other ones, Deadbolt.io, it doesn't roll off the tongue as easily to me. I mean, Starfruit.io, it's more obscure, and so yeah, that's just my thinking.
Cool. Well, thanks. Yeah, that's good to know. You know what's going on. Who's next? Shane, what do you think?
Well, I'll, even without Mike being here, I would have said that the .ios are probably my favorite on the list. I do think that they can sell, but they're a little bit more limited as to where, I mean, here we have chili extracts on there, which is ironic. Yeah, I mean, the names are fine. I think that most of those they probably could sell. But, you have a Geo Vodka. You're pretty much down to Montreal-based vodka companies, which I think you can figure out how many of those are. So there's not going to be too many. So it brings me back to the .ios. And, Mike's saying that we don't like .ios, but I don't think that's true at all. I think this whole domain thing always comes to branding. It always has. Is when you're finding a name for your company and getting people to your website, you try and pick the best thing that they can remember. .com wins because it's in the mind of the most people. But .io is starting to get in the minds of a new crowd, in my daughter's crowd. And so it works as long as they can remember it. I don't care what's at the end of it. It's when they can't, or they type something else, or they lose traffic. Just don't want to be there as a brand. .io doesn't have to upgrade to a .com, but you should own it probably if you become big enough. So I think they're great. And I don't necessarily, like Deadbolt to me is a perfect brand in security. It's a wide open space. It can be your door. It can be your wallet. It's a fantastic brand. And they're not going to get deadbolt.com. So that's a
Tiger owns it.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right.
I sold it to him.
Yeah, I forgot. And Mike's only got like 10 names, so he that's a really good one. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a great name.
Yeah,
and,
I didn't like when you sold that one. That was one of my all-time favorites. But I have in this time, you know what? Pesto.io. Dip in.
And again, people don't use these things for anything you think about. Starfruit will have nothing to do with Starfruit Starfruit sales or.
No, yeah, I can see it as a brand, and I see what you were saying, Mike.
Yeah, and I really like TradingBot. TradingBot and Submarine are probably my least two favorites. Submarine's fine, but I'd rather have Splurge. Sounds more fun, and as far as owning a name or a brand, Splurge really stands out there. So I'm right there with Mike. That's where I'd want to be. I think a lot of those could be 5-figure names. I would hold on to them. And again, the other ones are fine, but man, there's just so many hundreds of thousands of names similar. And when we talk about names that are going up in value and names that are going down, I think those 2-word geo, those are the ones that are going down. There's just too much going on there.
Mm-hmm. So ScottishWhiskeyTours.com, brandyourbusiness.org.
Yeah, when you come down to it, and I love to talk about the guide. There's so many people that bitch about Estabat and GoDaddy valuation. It's a guide, man. If you're making your decisions on a guide, then that's a mirror problem. That's a you problem. You just need something that decides and helps you decide how many people are interested in that. So when he uses GitHub, and some of the names I have, I say it doesn't work on GitHub because it's not what they were going to name something. I have 1, 2, 3. I look on it. Well, yeah, everybody's lazy and name 1, 2, 3. That doesn't mean it's the best name in the world. It just means that that's what they named it. And it's just a guide. It helps you know how many people think about that term. But sometimes the tech industry doesn't use terms that, there's some outliers in that. So it's not perfect either. But the people that think that's an exact science, it drives me crazy how they complain about Estabat not being right. It says 10 and it sold for 40. It just doesn't matter. It's a guide. So I think the guide would give you some good prices on some of these words because they're good keywords in an Estabat type. But I think the side that's going down. I think that there's the stuff.
So I feel like, say something like blockchain journal, then combined with .net is just delete that. You just lost some money. Absolutely. But say then he took the same word journal, sneakerjournal.com. Would you renew that? Do you think that's worthwhile? Do you think he should?
No, that's the kind of name that I'm going, and I'm sure somebody could pick it up and sell it, but it's just not, to me, it doesn't give me the best chance. I want names that give me the most amount of people to buy it. And when you pigeonhole yourself down to an industry that's small, now maybe that industry is $1 billion industry, it's worth it. But for the most part, when there's 7 people in the Montreal vodka possibilities, just not enough for me to hang on.
Gotcha. So it's just too narrow. Whereas,
I don't want to have a portfolio of 20,000 names waiting for the 7 people on each name to buy that name. That's not the kind of domain investor I want to be.
That's a great way to put it. So he's got it right on some of them, especially the .ios, but trying to get into the .com space, he's getting too pigeonholed. So we should probably strategically look at what he can afford. It seems to be either 2 to 3 letter .com 2 to 3 word .com or a 1 word .io. So go in
Yeah.
that direction.
In 2009, he could have made some typo money or type in money on some ads, but it's getting a little late.
Yeah. So either save up all the .com renewals and buy one better .com, or stick with, your budgeting in the .io, get to know that space better, and when you're making more money, upgrade. That sounds
That's
like
how I would do it.
advice I'm hearing you say.
Right. Yeah, that's how I would do it. I hate giving advice because there's always somebody that can tell me wrong, but that's how I would do it.
Why are you on this show?
I don't know, but I mean that's what I tell everybody. All I can do is tell my journey and tell how I do it, and then they can decide. I'll never tell anybody in this space how to do it. I can tell them I think it's wrong, that I would never do it that way, but there's at no point in time have I reached a point in time where I feel somebody to say don't do that unless it's a legal thing or I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I do think there's a lot of value in most of aspects of a person's life to share your own, there's some groups say share your experience, your strength, and your hope. And
after 10 years I have enough of it. I have enough stories. I have enough good and bad over 10 years to be on this show plenty more times to tell stuff. So. Oh,
phew. I thought we were going to have to cut you out.
I got one more day left. Yeah.
Okay. So Drew, before you start, I want to say, it's not chili extracts. It's chillextracts.com. There are a bunch, Shane and Mike did not cover the cannabis names. So, and I want your thoughts on Crypto Tax Guide, but let's talk a little about, casadelcannabis.com, goldenstateextracts.com. What are your thoughts on these?
So, all right, on the .io names, I'm pretty much in line with these guys. I like Submarine. It's the only one I like. The other ones are a little bit too fruity. So Sneaker Journal I kind of like, but immediately I get turned off just because it's not registered in any other extension. And to me, that's just like, you're literally in the absolute worst possible negotiating position you can be in if your domain is available in every single other extension, because you're basically limited to like, maybe you can sell your domain for a couple $100, and it's like, okay, I'm going to carry this domain at $9 a year for an indefinite period of time in the hopes that I might sell it for like $250 to $500, because very few people are going to pay you more. There are exceptions, but for the most part, rule of thumb, nobody's going to pay you thousands of dollars when the domain is available in every other extension.
Sneakerjournal.io would be kind of cool. Like, I would buy that before I paid.
I would never buy a two-word.io. Mike, what's the deal? What do two-word.ios ever sell?
I mean, I have seen some sell, but yeah, I think it's mostly, one word. Yeah.
So, I like Sneaker Journal only because sneaker market is exploding. There's 3 companies with a valuation over $100 million selling aftermarket sneakers. And, we're a $2 billion a year aftermarket industry, maybe $1.5 to $2 billion a year in aftermarket domain sales. And, we've got DN Journal. So Sneaker Journal, I think, is could be an interesting play for somebody. But again, what are you going to sell it for? What's Ron Jackson going to pay today for DN Journal versus
Ron, please let us know.
Buying, Domain Journal or some other.
I just think Ron is going to show up at NamesCon and like smoking cool sneakers now.
So I think, again, it's always about what's the next best alternative. And to me, there's probably a lot. And so, Sneaker Journal, I think, is a decent little brand, but, you better put a buy it now of like $899 on that.
You would put a buy it now that high?
Who, me? Well, I'd probably put a little bit higher, but that's because, it's a numbers game. I don't, if we sell it, we don't sell it. Yeah. So basically we almost never sell any domain under $2,500.
But
at
you
the
would
end of the
recommend
year,
that this,
we
that
took some of
TC27, do that
Yes.
and keep renewing it?
I probably wouldn't let that one expire.
Okay.
I'd probably put that on NameJet before I let it expire, because probably somebody would pay you something, even if it was $69. You know, you're going to get, call it $60. You know, so yeah. So
Okay.
that one's okay.
Let's talk
extracts,
cannabis.
garbage.
Extracts.
Yeah, chill extracts, garbage. I mean, you know, it's like, again, we just bought extracts.com for $38,000. So what do you think you're going to sell chillextracts.com for, right? Like, could be super extracts, and it could be awesome extracts. It could be high extracts, low extracts, great extracts, organic extracts. I mean, it's literally, there's thousands, maybe tens of thousands of potential combinations to put in front of extracts.com. Never mind putting something after extracts. What are you hoping to sell at domain for? Again, you're limited to maybe a couple $100. Personally, I think the name sucks, so probably nobody's ever going to buy it for any price. But even if somebody did want it, you're limited. Like, you're only going to get a couple $100, and you're going to carry that name for years. And again, it's probably a 95% likelihood that you'll never sell it. So on that 5% likelihood that you sell it, your potential outcome is a few $100. That math just doesn't add up.
Yeah.
So
either go with one or the other. Yeah.
Yep.
I got you. Okay. Dispensary.
Basically, every single one of these names that has no registration in any other extension, they're just all garbage. The only one, the only one that I think, you know, I'd keep is Sneaker Journal. Yeah, Casido Cannabis, Golden State Extract. I mean, Golden State Extracts, I'd probably just keep that, just because California is the Golden State. It is the by far biggest market in the U.S. for cannabis. And so Golden State Extracts, you know, there's probably a potential for a resale there. I wouldn't let it expire. So then there's Crypto Tax Guide. Crypto Tax Guide, I think, is actually a very good name. So doing the taxes, yeah, .com. CryptoTaxGuide.com. You know, this isn't going to be a big name. You know, it's probably a 40% chance that you're going to sell it. And if you sell it, it's probably worth, you know, I don't know, $2,500 to $10,000 if you got really lucky. But again, you have to factor it in that you're probably going to carry that for the next 3 to 5 years. And
well, I was going to ask that. How important would that be to take an offer now? Like 5 years from now, won't there be some established tax guides, or accountants will have a better idea of what to do? Is that important to sell in the next 2 years and just take the best offer you get?
I think, you know, on names like that, it's not that you're going to be getting daily offers or weekly offers or monthly offers, you know. So if you get an offer and it's a real offer, I would probably take it. I'd, you know, feel it out, try to negotiate it a little bit. But, you know, I think you got to take the bird in the hand on that one. I don't think you're going to have a line of people. But, you know, that being said, taxes are very confusing when it comes to cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And there's a market that, you know, there is a valid commercial market for that domain. So it is worthy of keeping. And I will note that it is also registered in the .net, which is why I didn't lump it in with the let all of the ones go.
Come in.
Let all the other ones go. I just want to check something real quick. What's on the .net? Now, it doesn't resolve. So maybe he owns it, maybe he doesn't. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. And TC27, huge thank you for submitting this. You know, I think some people get scared off because sometimes you guys are a little harsh.
Hey, it's constructive criticism here.
Yeah, and you got to learn. And people who are willing to learn are way cooler and smarter than people who are too chicken to send in their portfolio.
Free your mind. The rest will follow.
There you have it. All right.
Like Mike's family in his psychedelic picture.
Yeah, why don't you have that, Drew?
Just look at Mike. Mike has a free mind. Look at that. See that?
Look, see?
Wide open.
Mike,
Wide
I think
open.
you have the best hair in the domain industry. Tell me a guy with better hair.
I mean, he has hair in the industry.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's competing against hairless men. This is a battle that's very hard.
Oh, man. No one's going to talk to me at NamesCon now. All right. Before we jump into the domains going to auction soon, let me tell you about our sponsors who support us in our educational mission.
First, serious about online trading? Secure your funds, keep your merchandise safe, and use a company that keeps the buyer and seller protected the whole way through. That's escrow.com. Payments you can trust.
We're going to move on to the marketplace list. This segment is sponsored by NameJet. We're reviewing domain names headed to auction soon. Now, some or maybe all of these will be at the NamesCon live auction. Some the bidding is already open for, so check it out. We have 17 all .com domains. Some of these we've talked about before, like lucky.com, and some of them we have not. So pretty cool list. Little spicy. So spicy. Drew, you're up first. What do you love? What do you want? Wait, nobody owns these, right?
What?
No.
Nobody here owns them. No.
No, we don't own any of these.
Okay.
So, all right. A lot of great names on the list. Well, like you said, we have talked about a few of these, like bride.com, which I love. I think that's an amazing domain. You know, at the end of the day, a lot of these, it just comes down to what's the reserve price, right? So I know that a lot of these have very high reserve prices. And so they're you know, we'll have to see if an end user shows up, which, you know, they did last year. Last year we had 2 end users show up, and at least 2, maybe more. But 2 of the biggest sales were 2 end users, and it happened, you know, at NamesCon in the live auction. One of them, I think, happened post-auction, but the bidder was bidding in the auction. And so
were those end users?
Never know. Any given Sunday in the domain industry.
Were those end users physically present at the LivesCon name?
No, I believe not.
No,
because, well, we interviewed great.com, right? And so he was remote. He was in like the middle of Lapland or something.
He was deep diving in
Lapland, no? Or Asia.
Greenway or something, while he bought a 6-figure domain name, and he was an end user and had never paid that much for a domain. Super cool story. And how about the other buyer?
And then the other guy was super.com, and I don't even actually know who bought that. But anyways, doesn't matter. So point is, there's some phenomenal names. Most of the best names on this list, though, are priced for end users. Interesting enough, we sold 2 or maybe even 3 of these. So Valentine.com, we brokered the sale to the current owner. Stereo.com, we brokered the sale, I assume, to the current owner. No, sorry, we brokered it to somebody else who then sold it to the current owner. I love broker.com. I am eternally dissatisfied with myself for missing the opportunity to buy broker.com when I had it. I under anticipated the market for that name, and somebody came in and scooped it before I was kind of waiting for the seller to, get answers.
How long ago was that?
About a year and a half ago, maybe. I love that name. Broker.com is an incredible domain. I mean, you're talking about a transactional destination that can be for real estate, financing deals. It can be for any type of finance. It can be for, domain names. It could be for car, anything. Brokers sell things. So it's transactional, which I love. Transactional is what you want. So broker.com, in my opinion, is, that's a $10 million domain name, in my opinion. Maybe I'm crazy. So I love that name. That is far and away my favorite domain here. I think there are some false friends, as I call them. Things like CPU.com. It's like the numbers look great on CPU.com, right? It's a lot of search. It's got some traffic. Esteban puts it at $750,000. But to me, CPU.com is probably a loser. It's not a retail name. Like the consumers are not looking for CPUs.
I think it's already up to like 600,000 the bidding.
Yeah, but if it's under reserve, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
If that domain had no reserve, I
it's not a
guarantee
loser.
if that domain had no reserve, it wouldn't break 50 or 60 grand. In my opinion.
Explain that.
That's what I believe it's worth.
But why have people bid $600,000 on it?
It's classic in all auctions. So you've got a name on there that's listed. NameJet provides you with the reserve range. So if you see a domain on there, Rick Schwartz used to bitch and moan about this all the time in his live auctions at Traffic. It was like there's a lot of people that they really feel good about themselves when they place a bid on, it's like, I bid $500,000 for CPU.com. Woo! They go tell all their friends, they talk about it. They might even tweet about it, and they feel really good about themselves. They're pounding their chest. I bid $500,000 CPU.com. And then it's like, well, actually, that was worthless because the reserve is higher. So actually, you just wasted 30 seconds of your life. Now,
so to explain that a little bit more.
The reason it irritates me is because momentum in an auction is super critical. All right. So that gradual momentum, the more incremental it is, the more it's like the energy gets denser and hotter and the auction gets life. But when people walk into that auction now in the end of the month, the bidding starts at $600,000 or whatever the last bid is. And there won't be a single bid, right? So it's just, it's like, even if there was a real buyer, it's very hard to get that real buyer to like step up, and they don't understand domain auctions. They don't understand what I'm telling you right now. And they're like, the starting bid is $600,000. There's nobody bidding. Maybe I'm wrong, and they just walk away. They don't bid. So, because there's no momentum. They walk into a room, the room's dead because nobody's going to bid more. Nobody's going to hit the reserve. And you need that momentum in order to get somebody above the reserve in many cases. So I think it's the wrong approach. I think it's a hot potato. I think that name has no chance. I like leads.com a lot because, again, transactional. There's billions of dollars being transacted daily for leads, car insurance leads, medical leads, legal leads, you name it, home security, etc. I like Baja.com, phenomenal brand. That's one that I would buy. I love those 4-letter CV words, brands. I just think that they are the gold standard. I think that 4-letter CV, consonant, vowel, particularly real words. Those are the best brands on the earth, hands down, as a general rule.
Even though this is a geo and geo is not real hot?
Don't care. This name is not valuable because of its geo component.
Yeah, most people don't even know it's a geo.
Yeah, Baja is it has value because Baja is a tourist destination, but Baja is just it's a brand. I mean, it could be a cigar brand, it could be a car brand, it could be a home builder brand. It doesn't matter. It's Baja.com. Everybody knows it. Everybody's
cool.
Sell it. Yeah, it's great. It's a great brand. It's like Malibu. Yeah. Like the buyer of Malibu is never going to, most likely, well, it could be a real estate agent in Malibu, but because Malibu is one of the few places where, that might make sense. But the buyer
denotes a feeling and an experience.
Yeah, exactly.
That everyone is familiar with.
Yeah.
All right. Cool, man. I'm cutting you off unless you got something real important to say.
Yeah, my number one favorite name on the list, paintedcock.com. I'm going to let your imagination run wild.
I think that might have been a mistake that I don't know how that got on the list.
No, that's actually a type of chicken.
You were brave enough to search that, because guess
No,
what?
I actually just knew it. I didn't even search it. I just knew it.
Wow. Drew
Good luck,
Rosner, folks, just a fountain of information. Wow. All right.
You never know when that will come in handy, as it did today.
Yeah, I'll hold my breath. Thanks. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, starting with like fraud.com, these are awesome domains that, if I had them, they're like on the mantle, like I was talking about the collection. Like, these are the ones, I mean, you don't sell it for less than 7 figures. That's what I think for these. So like, who's selling this? That's what I would want to know. I mean, and they must be, like domain investors selling them to end users. So it's like, as a domain investor myself, I don't see a lot of opportunity here for that. I mean, maybe, who knows? I guess if you could get something under 100,000, one of those for under 100,000. But I mean, like at this type, like at an auction, at the NamesCon auction, I don't know if I see that happening, but I guess it's possible. So, so as an investor, these would be like, Drew, I don't know, like, I think so. So it says, look at this list from a new investor perspective. So that's going to be hard if you don't have a big bankroll, for these names. If you do have a big bankroll and you're a new investor, then these might be some good ones, or names like this, or like extracts. But I think instead of buying them in an auction like this, it'd probably be worth your time to, do some work and like get a list of good names and go out there and try to find the owners, or like hunt down and do some investigative work and stuff. Like, I don't know, Drew got brute.com for 5,000. I remember seeing that on DomainSherpa. It's like, oh my God, like if that's possible to get that domain now, for 5,000 after, like, it's like, you think right now all the good names are gone, but it's possible to get these names. There's names out there that are great that you can get for like $5,000 that you could sell for, 6 figures or more. So,
I'll tell you. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I mean, thanks. In my experience, and maybe it's different, being an executive account manager at GoDaddy, and at times in conversations at Media Options, there are investors who walk in, I would say, on a very regular basis. It's not the vast majority. Maybe it's 5%. I don't know. I'd have to think about that for a while. But who are walking in saying, I've got 6 figures that I want to invest somewhere. I heard about domains. I'm trying to figure something out. Maybe they don't have, I feel like different investors have different resources at their disposal.
Yeah.
But where they would be better served to buy drone.com than to try to research and figure out and buy in an obscure name like Boot, but then they don't have the resources or know how to sell that. Whereas, drone.com, maybe, like, I have a friend, I've been begging her to be on the show forever, but like, I'm like, now how much should I say? But she did global strategy for a major public corporation for 16 years. She has a ton of money, and she's like, oh, what you do is interesting. She's like, yeah, I would spend, she gave me a specific 6-figure price that she would spend on like one domain just to learn and figure it out and see. And I feel like there are lots of investors like that, and maybe an auction is a way where they can gauge how much would anybody else pay to know, like, am I crazy, or like, is this reasonable?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like looking at the auction sites regularly, all of these names, it's almost like you buy them, you can ask what you want for them. I mean, it's more for these names. It's like, it's more of a factor of, are domain names going to be valuable in 10 years? It's more of like thinking like that, like, because, if you have broker.com, it's like, you want it, you got to pay me what I say, like, because there's only one broker.com name, like it's more of it's like, okay, in 10 years, is it still going to be like this where you need the domain name? Like, if you're, or is it going to be something else? I mean, technology is changing a lot. Like there's like, Ethereum, like dApps and stuff, like all this crypto stuff. Who knows what will happen in 10 years? So I think it's more, if you're going to invest that kind of money right now, you got to think of it more as, what are domain names, are these going to continue to go up as they have? They've been really good investments, I think, for, the last 20 years. So are they going to continue? What? Probably. But if, that's more of what it's about. It's not about like the names, I think, at this level. It's like, just
interesting. Yeah. And Mike, you were so cool and geeky. What did I don't want to miss this. What did you just say? You said Ethereum and
dApps, decentralized applications.
Okay.
It's like applications that run on Ethereum blockchain. And
yeah, I just didn't know dApps. So I know what they are now that you say it. But now I'm cooler and geekier too. Thanks. Okay, Shane, what do you think? And nobody said anything about like Wi-Fi booster, riding boots, subservient.
But hard to get excited about those names when you're looking at.
I was just about to say you when you set up it with the other names in the list and put painted cock next to it, it doesn't really get you too excited.
Yeah,
I don't know about you.
So painted cock gets you excited.
Well, I didn't. Well, when I printed it out, that was the only name on the list, so I had to go with what I had.
Drew, I've been working with our social media person earlier today. Should I have her put that in quotes? Yeah. Shane Cultra.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, no, for real though, because these are more like middle line domains and they deserve attention. Riding boots, Wi-Fi booster. Say what do you have to say?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, they're fine, but it's a product. I mean, the guy that sells Wi-Fi boosters is going to be named, Lucky.com, or it's going to be a brand. They're not going to.
So you wouldn't bid on that at all.
Product to have its own. Now you might buy as a marketing name. I say that word all the time. If you sell Wi-Fi boosters, if you can get a good cheap price, buy Wi-Fi boosters and forward it to your Wi-Fi booster part of your website. That makes complete sense.
Okay.
But it has limited value compared to your overall brand. I was a little conflicted about these awesome names. So as a guy that can't afford them, it's going to take a lot of time at the auction. And I hate to be that guy that complains, but the reality is these reserves are really high and there's a lot of names, and we're going to be sitting at that auction going through, starting from 20, going to $600,000 times 100 names or whatever. It's going to take forever to get.
Yeah, maybe.
Drew, were you saying you're cut off? You got your sound?
I think that the probably won't list all of them in the live auction. I think the ones which are showing momentum, the ones which are have multiple bidders, which they think are serious bidders or are end user bidders, or people who are
good. I was going to go and bid up everyone to right below the reserve, just to get the auction going a little quicker. It'll say the main chain under every single one right at the bottom, just to get it going faster.
Well, Domain Shane isn't the worst username out there.
No, that is true. But I think the names are amazing. I mean, when you get into domain investing, this is the names you want to have. I mean, these are the names that 30 people have, in our industry. I can probably name all of them that have it. And this guy, I forget Mike is his name, I think, from HostGator. Was that the gentleman that owns it? Yeah, so, he had money. Pardon me?
He doesn't own all these.
Oh, he doesn't own all of these?
No, okay, I want to talk about datingchannel.com. Yay, nay, how much would you pay? No?
Yay, nay, how much would you pay? That should be a new segment. Yay, nay, how much would you pay?
All right, let's do it. All right, next time let's skip the investor review and do a yay, nay, how much would you pay?
Yeah, no, it's not too much.
Okay, Mike, datingchannel.com.
Dating channel. Is it like a TV channel or something?
I don't know. You got to stream something. I don't know. No?
Sounds like kind of a boring channel, but
like big money.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it.
All right, and how come no one talked about domain names
Because there's a distinct possibility that I might be bidding on that domain.
Okay. Mike, why didn't you talk about it? And how much would you pay?
I mean, I guess I kind of grouped it in with all those really good ones, but I mean, it is longer and it's more generic. It's not like a brand. I mean, I don't love it as much as the other ones personally. I guess it would be like a good name for a registrar or like a domain broker or something. But to me, I don't like it as much as the other ones. Okay.
Shane,
I don't like it because I know that I'd probably use it for myself, and I'm not going to make any money off of it.
Yeah,
that's the reality. Is you're going to.
But basically, your wife told you not to look at that one.
Well, that's a problem I have. Is names. The worst names I buy are the ones that I'm keeping for myself, and I'm never going to make any money because I'm just keeping it to represent myself. I mean, I know it's good for brand. It's an amazing name. Come on, let's not kid ourselves on any of these. It's like saying the Ferrari has a little dent in the door.
Yeah.
You know, we look stupid if we say anything other than these names, or every single name on here we would want, except Subservient. I would struggle with that name. I can barely read it, let alone spell
Subservient.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what would happen on that site.
Yeah, there's a lot of IE.
There's some good stuff that could happen on that site. Sell it to the same people that I sold humiliated.com to years ago.
I'm going to type that in here.
Woo!
I dare you.
No, there's these names. You just can't say anything bad about them at all. Like my only complaint, like I said, was sitting in an auction of names that I'm never going to be able to bid on. But I say that never, but you never know. That's the beauty of this industry. You sell a bunch of lucky.ios 10 times and you can buy some of these names. So
yeah, boom. Yeah. Hey, this was a really fun, energetic show. I really, I thought we had some great ideas. Drew, I loved I loved making decisions for you. That was really cool. Guys, anything you want to share, personal, professional, brokering, selling, what's going on? It's a new year, maybe some big goals or plans. Shane, you are up first.
Was everybody going to NamesCon? Will I see Mike? You going to be there?
No, I'm not going. No.
Canceled.
We will miss you.
Yeah, just
I flew all the way to Philly, and he's like, I moved. Now I'm going to Vegas. He's like, not going to be there. Really, Mike?
Sorry.
Do you need to borrow some money? Because Drew and I will pitch in.
He borrow a nanny. He just had his second child was just born.
Oh, that's true too.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to be gone a while. I leave for Kenya here next week, and I won't be back. And I'm flying directly back to NamesCon, so I will be a zombie most likely. I'll either be really good shape and thin and healthy eating, or I'm going to be toast. So. That's really that. I'll be out of the country a while and living lean, I guess you'd say.
And you had said before that you had some opportunities because it is, volunteer work that you're doing. Is there still a page where people can donate if they want to?
Yeah, so it's still on my website, and Domain Shane is probably the easiest. We have a button there. Yeah, I don't want to say I'm ever closing it off, but everybody's been so generous. I'm kind of humbled. It's a first time for me. I've raised money for races, and it's always gone to a source. I did some event. This is the first time where I'm in charge of where the money goes and how. And it's been very humbling and kind of nerve-wracking because I want to make sure it goes to, once you hand somebody something, everybody crowds up and they want part of that, and trying to figure out where things go and who can do the most, or I can do the most good with it. And people have been generous. Like Alan Dunn sent me 20 soccer balls. I'm not sure how I'm going to get them there. So I have all these beautiful soccer balls to bring to these kids. And it's life-changing. It's hard not to make it the center of everything. It's really, once you've done something for someone and see what the reaction, you actually become selfish because it makes you feel so good that you're really doing it for you now, because even though you've done them good and you've changed their lives, you're doing
nothing wrong with that
because it makes you feel. Pardon me?
Said nothing wrong with that.
No, I know.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest problems I think there is out there is that people have these internal conversations and they get real caught up in, oh, but now I feel like I'm doing it because it makes me feel good. And but
Yeah.
the fact is what we need is just more doers.
Yeah, you're getting it done, Shane, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you're welcome to back out, but I'm super impressed that you plan to join the next Sherpa review from Kenya. That's really cool.
That's
the
dope.
goal here. Once I get there, I'll make sure everything's all set up. But yeah, it'll talk about a good backdrop. I'll try and sit on the Rift Valley and have some animals running past.
Cool. Okay, so I should not have had Shane go first. Mike, beat that.
Yeah, I guess just park.io, you know, that I'm going to add some more TLDs.co. We're going to add that soon. So, yeah, check that out.
What made you decide to add more TLDs?
Well, I've always wanted to add .co, but you have to be ICANN accredited, and we just got that recently. So, yeah, I'm basically adding a lot of TLDs that you needed ICANN accreditation for. So
congrats. That's a big deal and a big step, especially for a one-man run business, you know, and it's amazing what you do and what your revenues are.
Over and over. You notice how I use the word we?
Yeah, I know. At first I was like, what am I saying? We? And do I mean me and park.io? Like, what is it? But I've resigned to it, and now I think me and my wife, you know, we, it's like the family business. My wife, me, and my son. That's what I'm talking
about. Okay. We's a good term.
Yeah, it is. And I like, you know, before we started recording, Drew started saying his daughter already watches the price of Bitcoin. I can only imagine, Mike, I think your kids are going to be like coding before they're walking. So they'll be on the show next.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Drew, what's going on?
We will be.
You do have a we.
Yeah, we do have a we. We'll be at NamesCon, and very excited about being at NamesCon last year in Vegas. So let's do it right. And I hope to see everybody there. I don't take appointments, so just come and find me, and you know,
get in line.
What else is cooking? We've got some very exciting stuff rolling out in 2019. So we've got some really, really cool projects that we've been hard at work on that hopefully are going to roll out here in the next very short period of time, hopefully in Q1 of 2019, that we are very excited about. So keep an eye out. I am, yeah, that's it. I think I'm as bullish on topnotch.com domains as I've ever been. I think, I think the future is bright. Anybody sitting on some really good top-notch one-word, two-letter, three-letter.com domains, the future's bright. I think 2019 is going to be a good year. I think it's going to be a really interesting year just because of the dynamics. I think that we could see some economic turbulence. But I think that venture capital still has a mandate. They need to invest. So they've got capital. They need to invest. Venture capital funding will continue. Public markets will probably be tough. And that all bodes well for domain names. So, I'm super excited. So I just want to say Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you for the support of Media Options and DomainSherpa. We would love any feedback. We'd love to, one of our goals at DomainSherpa this year is try to get more people commenting and engaging with us because we want your feedback. So we want to try and deliver what you want. And so we are working on some new segment ideas. And anybody who has got any ideas about how to add to or change the show a bit, please make a comment down below. We will respond and try and make the show better in 2019. And thank you to you guys for, we couldn't do it without our guests. So thank you, Mike. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Tess.
No problem.
Thank you, Drew. Yeah, it's, I love New Year's. I love New Year, new start, new slate. It's a great moment to have reflected and start out some new plans. I'm really excited for NamesCon. I'm excited to, I think it will just be a different experience for me this year now that we have a year of Sherpa, a year plus of Sherpa under our belt. I'm really looking forward because we are ready to shake things up. And I want to have a lot of those conversations. I want to hear a lot of the Sherpa Network's thoughts. And
we're doing a live show. Don't forget, we're doing a live show at NamesCon.
Yeah,
live show, live
cool.
Sherpa at NamesCon.
Yeah, and I love, there's so many people I would like to have on our panel. But our panel is, I'll be the moderator. And we will have these two guys here who are such steady supporters, Drew Rosner and Shane Coltra. And our third panelist, I think is just so cool, will be Mike Seiger. And that's just, that is so cool. So it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be
bringing back Grandpa.
What?
To bringing back Grandpa.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I already had someone email me and say, when's the Sherpa panel? I'm not making it for the whole conference, but I don't want to miss that. And, not to say we're the highlight of the show, but if you're only there a day, Tuesday, 1:00, just saying. So this was a long show, but it was a fabulous one. Let's, poor like Mike Seiger, who runs to the show. He's probably like, stop talking now. So we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Thank you.